Hi everyone, and welcome back to QuestForAlpha. Today is November 23rd, and as always, we are going to take a clear, structured look at the markets. Today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to walk you through last week's price action and review how the stocks on our watch list performed. Whether there were any that were gaining momentum, what was slowing down, and what actually turned out to be, for me personally, a trade that I had to close in order to respect my rules. So the first one on our watch list is OMC. You can see that this one was still in an uptrend. The 10 EMA happens to be above the 200 EMA. However, if we take a look at what happened on the daily time frame, this is where we entered, right there on this candle. And since then, we had a ranging price, and at some point, the price broke down over here. I noticed this bearish candle, and I decided that if we have any candle that actually is going to close somewhere below it, then that will be it. For the longest time, this was ranging, and all of a sudden, I did see this candle here coming pretty close to closure. I waited the next day, some momentum coming up, then the following day it broke down. When this happened, I decided this is it. I'm just going to get out of it, and that's actually where I got out of. I got out of right over here on this specific candle, this specific day, and you can see on Friday this thing bounced off completely. Rules are rules. So this was definitely a loser, and you can account for probably twice the loss. Generally, what I want to do is there are different ways you can manage the trade. The way I decided was to have the stop loss somewhere over here, which is always a soft stop loss, and I wanted to go for 2 to 1. This is actually almost like a 3.7 to 1, because there was a nice area around here for taking profits. Of course, that didn't happen, so instead it broke down, and it broke down twice as much as where my initial stop was going to be. And that is okay. There's going to be winners, and perhaps this one is going to come back. It's going to consolidate over here and go above the 200 EMA. For the time being, we are going to take this to the long-term watch list section, and we're just going to continue to monitor. Equinox, this is another one that we looked at last week, and this is where I actually exited. When I saw this candle coming down, I was hoping that the price can settle in, which it did with this white candle, and then it broke down the next day, and at that point I decided to get out. So this was also a loss. For me, this is around maybe 1.5 loss, and that is okay. We respected the rules, and you can see, as opposed to OMC, Equinox, instead of bouncing off the next day like OMC did on a Friday, this one actually continued to drop even further down. So as long as you have a discipline and you are consistent in the decisions you make, and you have a plan ahead of, just follow your plan. The plan will always work out, whether in the positive or in the negative way. In this case, yes, this was a loss, but it could have been a lot worse of a loss, right? So respect the plan. Things will work out. On the long run, things do work out. After all, this is the stock market. Equities typically go higher and higher, and Equinox, in this case, it is tied to AI, and we've had pretty difficult 3 weeks in the stock market. So this is not unexpected. On the other side, there were a few that actually are playing out pretty well. This is Dover. We entered Dover right over here. It came down. On Friday, we had a pretty strong candle up. Yes, it's at a loss at the moment, but hopefully in the next few weeks, this is going to start going into profit. So we're still in with regards to this trade. Waters Corporation, I mean, you can see this is a beautiful trade, and see there are certain stocks that are going to do well. A lot of the pharmaceutical stocks are actually performing pretty good. You see, while AI is maybe dropping, there is a sector of the market, in this case pharmaceutical, that's going to go up. So there's always opportunities. And the good thing about this specific strategy, other than the fact that it doesn't require much time to execute on or to analyze, it is looking for stocks that are underappreciated, but they're still in an uptrend. And this just happened to be a set of stocks like Waters Corporation that is one way or another associated with the pharmaceutical industry that is performing very well. Already, this is at a 1.8 risk to reward, and if you go with a 2-to-1, well, I have a feeling that probably tomorrow, Monday, it will reach the target, and then you can leave it to continue to grow, to continue to push higher, and maybe just make sure that if the price reverses, you're not going to lose your money, so move your stop loss to break even. Vertex is another one that I'm participating in. You can see this one is kind of like ranging at a break even. Yes, it's showing at a loss, but it hasn't collapsed completely. It is holding here, and I am hoping that it's going to continue to move higher. Merck already reached the 2-to-1, so that's another strong pharmaceutical stock that's performing very well. And then what would you do in this case? I'm just going to remove this previous drawing. What I would do in this case is I will probably let it run. I mean, let's see on the monthly time frame. The highest point was 134.78. If we try to extend it, that's almost like 50% gain if you allow the stock to continue to move higher. So it is up to you. Generally, over time, stocks take out previous highs, and perhaps Merck is going to do the same thing. You can always take partial profits if that's what you want. If you, for example, you need the money right now. But in general, very well performing stock. Regeneron Pharmaceutical, also another very good stock, doing very well. And that one is about to reach the 2-to-1 risk to reward, probably Monday, Tuesday of this week. We can get there, and you can have the same approach that you would have had with Merck. This one's similar to Merck. It has an opportunity to go all the way up to 80% if it takes the previous high, which happened to be the all-time high, I believe, for Regeneron Pharmaceutical. So it's up to you to see how much you want to hold. Generally, what happens is the stock wants to take the previous high and wants to drop down significantly. So if you are willing to hold that long, then perhaps you get out of somewhere here, wait for some sort of pullback, and if the price action shows you that it wants to go higher, then get back in again. Let's take a look at Prudential Financial. That was a stock that we actually did not have any setup here. We had an alert level to see how the stock would behave and would it take this previous high. For me, there is really nothing going on over here, so that will be moved to the long-term section of the watch list. Our Capital Group, that one is actually setting up. So this is a decent consolidation here. If we do see the price action maybe continue for 2-3 more candles in this consolidation block, and then tries to even to close above this previous high, this could be something that is worth taking. Teradyne, I think I'm gonna move this into the longer term watch list section because the price is not setting up yet. There's something like this that I'm expecting before I can enter. So, and I feel like we have probably a few weeks before something like that happens. Let's go with BJ's Wholesale Club. All right, this one is still on my watch list. This is an interesting one, but it's not close to getting above the 200 EMA. So it may take also a few weeks. I'm just gonna keep it here for the time being. Equity Lifestyle Properties. This is an interesting one. You can see that there was some sort of consolidation here. Price is trying to break out of that consolidation. If the price actually breaks out and closes above this previous high, this will be something I would be interested in taking. If we look at on the monthly time frame, there has been a lot of consolidation, major consolidation here. So for me, that would probably look for a play maybe somewhere here to go for like a 20% gain. But of course, my stop loss would be somewhere here, and that would translate into almost like a 5-to-1 risk if one is willing to hold it for a certain period of time, and this may take probably a couple of months. Well, actually, maybe 5-6 months if something like this happens. Let's take a look at if there is anything at all on the longer term watch list. I'm gonna start with Salesforce. Salesforce is actually breaking down, so this would have been a very nice play, but it never really got there. So I'm just gonna remove that. It's no longer interesting. Avery Dennison, that one also kind of broke down. Nothing really here. HP continues to break down. Let's see what is happening here on the monthly time frame. So still in an uptrend. That zone is still holding. However, if at the end of the month this candle, which is the monthly candle, closes below the zone, then this would be treated as an invalid zone. At that time, what I would consider as a backup zone is going to be this one over here. However, we have to make sure that the 10 EMA does not cross below the 100 EMA. That will indicate a downtrend. So there is a possibility that, you know, there's another month here, there's a huge wick, it bounces up, and that would be a pretty nice setup for something like this to occur. However, since we are trading on the daily time frame, there's really no good setups. Ingersoll Rand, this is a good one. There is a possibility that some sort of consolidation ends up forming here, and if the price comes above the 200 EMA, then that will be a pretty nice entry point for the price to go higher. GPC, not much going on GPC. I don't, there's really no consolidation here. It's just higher high, higher low, and nothing happened on this candle. So what I anticipate is going to happen is this will take probably some time, maybe starts consolidating here, then jumps off above the consolidation and continues to move higher. For the time being, really nothing going on over here. Let's see, why did we pick this specific zone? I think it's because there was a strong monthly zone here actually, and then this is also a decent zone. I mean, maybe with the exception with this candle, there was a pretty significant candle over here. So regardless, I think whether you're looking at this zone, which would be have been my preference, or this one over here, the price action on the daily time frame is the same. So there is really no good setup here. There used to be right over here consolidation, but the price never went above. Then the price consolidated here in this area, and it came above. Now, if you remember my rules, the consolidation is close enough to the 200 EMA, but it's still below the 100. I don't like that. I like it to be somewhere in between here, or at least this consolidation here. But the price never went above. Then there was another consolidation here. The price broke out of it. It actually took out the previous high, and it closed with this candle. At that point, this is a perfect buy. It's just, would you take a stop loss this large? And yeah, if you did, then that was only going to give you a 0.8 win. If you were waiting for some sort of retracement, such as this one over here, then you would have reached your 2 to 1 if that's what you're going for, risk to reward. So we never really looked at this stock, or I never really looked at this stock before, so that was a missed opportunity, let's just say, to profit from it. And the final stock is Onto Innovation. You can see that there has been a lot of consolidation in here. This to me is too much of a consolidation. It's too huge of a price action. What I expect here is what I've demonstrated in the previous week, is for the price to come down to the zone and restart the move to go higher. So for the time being, nothing really going on over here. So with that, we are going to continue to monitor some of the pharmaceutical stocks that we have on the watch list to see how those are going to behave. And I'd just like to thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. I hope this breakdown helps you see the market a little bit more clearly, and to have a little bit more structure in the way you interpret how stocks move and how the financial markets is behaving. If you are following the watch list with me, then keep tracking the same patterns and stay consistent. I'll see you all next week for another Quest for Alpha update. Thank you and have a great day.